Welcome to Ask Colleen, Spiritual Solutions for Life Situations. I'm Colleen St.Michaels, and I will be the host for this podcast. My aim is to provide you with the guidance and support through life's challenges, spiritual development, change, healing, and growth. Drawing from over 2 decades of experience as a spiritual practitioner, I will share my wisdom and offer answers to the questions that may weigh heavy on your heart and your mind. Remember that you are not alone, you are capable, and the light within you is unstoppable. Hello, I am Colleen St.Michaels, and welcome to Ask Colleen, Spiritual Solutions for Life Situations. So I'm excited to dive into this next chapter of our learning series, which we're going to be starting our talk about mediumship and the mediumship world and the ins and outs. As a professional medium for over decades, I have had the privilege of sitting with over 100,000 of people in my career. And so the insight that I have to share, whether you are seeking comfort in knowing about the afterlife, or if you're someone who's interested in being a practicing medium, this series will be for you. So like we do every episode, we're going to start off with a Peace Warrior card from my guidance deck and see what our intention is for the week to follow, and how can we grow, how can we learn, and what do we need to know. So just going to knock on the cards. When I knock on the cards, what I'm doing is I'm clearing the energy. Anytime, if you have your own cards at home, just make sure you clear them between each and every question and session that you hold. Because like everything is energy, and everything holds energy. The right card always comes to us because our energy of intention is being put on it. So our intention is, what do we need to know? Dreams. Dream big, dream bold, just never stop dreaming. So this card is super important because often we minimize our dreams based off of our present experience or our past experience, where we look at maybe that failures are a indication that we should not be doing something. But in reality, we're all students and infants of a new beginning. And if we honor that infant within, we allow ourselves permission to understand in this world, a failure may not be what you are taking it to heart to be. I have shifted the term fail into first attempts in learning. I love acronyms. I shift the 4 letters that were holding me back, and I create an acronym that helps me to feel more connected to what am I doing? I'm an infant within, and each and every time I try something, I am learning. So every time I practice something and I'm not super at it, I ask myself, do I enjoy this? Do I want to do this? If this is something that is passionate within me and something I really want to do, then I will stay with it. If it's something that I'm doing and it's just, I'm not a figure skater. I don't want to be a figure skater. So I can practice it not to fall, but I don't feel that that would be a dream of mine to pursue and follow. I don't have a passion or a joy in it, or coordination for that matter. And those things that we are trying to dream about, if your life is so stressed that you have stopped dreaming, then I want you just to take a minute and just ask yourself, start with something small, a small dream, like, oh, I would dream of ... It doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't have to be so big that, you feel like you're going to, out-talk yourself inwardly about achieving it. But if your dream is to one day open a spiritual business, then do the practice steps that support the belief that you are capable and that it is possible that you open a spiritual practice. Because if it is in alignment with your destiny, it's in alignment with your soul, all of those pieces will come together. But if you're fearful of dreaming because other people don't support it, here's a newsflash. It's your dream. It's not theirs. They shouldn't have more of an investment in it than you do. And you don't need to defend your dreams to anyone. This is a relationship between you, your soul, and your mission here on this earth walk. And dreams Allow them to flow through you. Allow them to be ever changing. Allow them to expand. Allow them to contract. Allow them to expand out. Just allow them. And that is how dreams come into fruition. When we have an allowance of not trying to control it and not trying to stop it because we don't feel that we're worthy of it. So allow yourself to dream. So when we talk about dream, it's funny. I was talking with a student the other day, and she was like, "It's always been my dream to be a medium," and I can say it wasn't my dream to be a medium. Like I had never even entertained the idea that I would be a medium, and so it's interesting how dreams come true, but they don't always come true in maybe the package that you thought it was going to be. My dream was always to have an ability to be able to be with people, to help support people, and to help people grow, and to help people on a general level. I just wanted to help people. Well, little did I know that this would be the route that I would be doing so. And as the angels have said to me in the past, Colleen, stop messing with the blessing. That means allow things to come to you that maybe you didn't sketch out, because as I've shared in past episodes, where we start off as our top point, that is the beginning point for the universe, because we are worthy and can do so much more than we allow ourselves to even believe. And I want to start off with this quote by Harry Emerson Fosdick, and it is, "I would rather live in a world where my life is surrounded by mystery than live in a world so small that my mind completely comprehends it all." And just allow yourself to digest that. I'd rather live in a world where my life is surrounded by mystery than live in a world so small that my mind can completely comprehend it. It gives me the chills. I love it. Because when we talk about the spirit world, I think it's one of the great mysteries that most people have. Most people ask me questions all the time, like, what's it like? Well, who's there? What's that? What is the process? So I want to kind of start from the beginning and we'll work our way through. And what we have to understand is that as humans, we are spirit beings having a human experience. And when someone crosses over, they're releasing the human experience and journeying back into the soul experience. Only fragments of our soul travel into the physical body. We can't carry all of the pieces of our soul into this incarnation, because then that would counteract free will, free choice. We would have nothing to learn from or nothing to grow from. We would know it all because we're on the other side. So when we cross over, and I want to preface that when I say the word, we cross over or we pass on, we don't use the words death or die during sessions, because they don't look at us as having a physical death. They don't look at it themselves as dying. They look at themselves as passing forward, passing on, or crossing over, crossing from this realm into the next realm. They view yesterday was a death to us because we don't get that back, right? So their soul, our soul, is ever incarnating. It's ever living. It's always generation of light. We can't kill the energy. We can't destroy the energy. It is always in motion, whether it's in this physical body, in this presence, in this experience, or it's in the experience in the afterlife. If you connect with the afterlife or the universe or creation, however it is that you embody that practice, I highly suggest you just bear with me, because I do say the afterlife. I know it's like the universe. They show it to me. It's always looked like the universe, but I connect with the afterlife in my communication and my teaching. So the one thing we have to understand is that this is a sacred connection. It's a sacred communication. It is a soul communication. So often people want to know why it is that they can't feel their loved ones when they cross. And there's a lot of different moving parts around that question. But a lot of times we are not aware of our frequency. We're not aware of our energy. We're not in the moment. We're usually thinking in things in the past, we're holding a very low vibration because we're grieving or we haven't had acceptance of the person's passing. And acceptance doesn't mean that you like it. Acceptance means that we acknowledge what is. So when we are looking to kind of dial in this frequency, what it is that we have to be very connected to what frequency are we holding. So it is a sacred communication. Our loved ones on the other side want to talk with us more than we want to talk with them because they want to let us know that they're okay. They don't come through to let us know they're okay, they're not sick, they're not, they're coming to forth to let us know that we're going to be okay. They now know what we don't know here because we're really bred to build relationships with one another. We're bred to, have that person here. We usually set up a human timeline that says, okay, at this age, then it's acceptable to cross. Not that we want to lose people, but we have this kind of template that we've set up on the human experience that we are the ones that feel as though when it is that we're ready to let someone cross or not cross or feel that it's justified or not justified. But in reality, our soul is the one who is in alignment with that decision prior to us even coming into this space. When we come into this world, we're born with two cords. One is the umbilical cord, and that when it is dissolved, it is now we are a citizen of this earth walk and this earthly plane. We then have a soul cord. When we cross, it is our soul cord that is dissolved, and then we return back to become a citizen of the afterlife of the universe. So it is a designed beginning and an ending that we are assigned upon coming into the plane of existence. And it's one of the things that usually blocks people from allowing themselves to feel the frequency or the intuitive impressions that our loved ones on the other side are sharing. As I stated before, when we did the first series about intuition, we worked into angels and now into mediumship, is that it's the same operating system. It's the intuition that it is that we use to connect with our loved ones on the other side. It is the frequency in which we are vibrating, and our vibration is 100% how we tune in to that channel to receive the messaging. Often people would think like, oh, well, why do you have this and, I don't? Everyone has the ability to have it. It is like a muscle, and it is about what attention that you're giving to this muscle to become more developed. I exercise this muscle all the time. So my muscle is developed, it's strengthened, and it's trusting. So when I started out, I was not developed. I felt like I was like, what was that olive oil from Popeye? Like my muscles went down. And the idea is to be patient with yourself and to understand that we have to meet ourselves where we are at so that we can move into that next frequency or that vibration. Because our loved ones are always around us. It's for us to take responsibility for our own vibration, to understand that we need to raise our vibration so that they can come and meet our vibration. And then we can kind of fine tune and trust the connection and the communication. But before we get there, I want to backpedal a little and talk about the idea of when someone crosses. So when they leave this physical world, we've discussed that it is always the divine time when they pass, right? Even if we don't think it's their time, there are other situations when it comes to someone's participation in their own passing, if they take their life, that it's not necessarily always contracted into their soul contract. That's usually a human decision, not a soul decision. But for our more organic birth, passing, they call it a birthing over onto the other side. When someone crosses over, it is often very difficult for us behind because we miss them. And the mistake that we often make is that we make declarations that if we start to live again, that it's disrespectful to them on the other side. That if a mother loses their child, that they shouldn't laugh, or they shouldn't go to visit things that they used to love to do. Or if a husband or a wife passes, that the partner just sits there and stops living at the capacity in which they lived previously. And that is the exact opposite of what the afterlife wants for us. Because what they want is for us to keep playing the game, because they look at this as like the game of life, and we are contestants and players in that game. They have now moved out of the game, but now they're in the stands. So in the stands, if we are in a space where we're just consistently grieving and we're like, I'll never heal, I'll never get over this, I will never, 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 never. We keep making these declarations that are creating a separation from wanting to have that communication and wanting to kind of hold firm that like forever martyring that we're never going to be able to live past this experience. Now, they're not dismissing the grief that we feel here, by no means. They're not dismissing the levity of it, but what they want to do is to explain that when we go out and we allow ourselves to laugh, that brings them closer to us, because that raises our vibration. They want us to know that when we are doing activities that they once loved, what does that do? Brings them closer, because it raises our vibration. Our vibration is the 100% reality of how we connect and communicate with either angel, spirit, or our own intuition. It's how we manifest life. It's how we are co-creating it. And they're 100% aware of how our vibration plays such a vital role in coming through and connecting within to us. When we are living life and on a soul side, we made a contract with that person that even if it was for a short time, that we were going to journey with them. We knew this on a soul level. It doesn't dismiss the idea that some things happen, because people will say, well, then why didn't, so-and-so stop a car accident from happening? Why didn't my father, who's crossed over, stop my, husband from getting hit on his bicycle? They do not have the power to intervene into free will, free choice. Just as the angels lived within free will, free choice, the same goes for the spirit world. There is that is the law of the universe, right? We are free will, free choice beings. Now, if that was to be a fatal accident and that is not in that person's soul chart, then yes, our guardian angels would then step in and assist that. So our loved ones on the other side are support teams to our angels and our other teams in the light that are, in a sense, on the front lines. Our loved ones who've crossed are not influential in, creating things to not happen or to manipulate them to go against our soul chart. So that would be against that soul's rule, or that soul's incarnation. So when people cross over, there is a reunion, because they don't look at it as though they have left. They have looked at it as though they have gone back home. They call the afterlife home. So when they cross and they move into the space where they're greeted by their angels and their guardian angels, and then presented the loved ones who have crossed over prior to them. Now, because the soul does not have a physical body, often when people are in that transition, and many times people experience this when they're at a hospital bed and their loved one is in that in between. And what that means is their soul cord is still attached, but it's kind of hovering. So they're between worlds, and they can then maybe be verbally describing what they're experiencing. They may see a parent of theirs that has crossed over. They may be seeing light. They may be reaching out for certain things. And all of these are magnificent guides that are helping that person who is ready to transition to feel comforted, safe, secure, and willing, in a sense, to cross over, to release any of the inner fears that they may have about crossing over, or especially if someone's sick, the fear of that death or the fear of not being here. It brings a lot of things up within them that, I know my dad at times before he passed was, afraid to go to sleep because he was afraid he wasn't going to wake up. And, I used to tell him, I'm like, Daddy, like, the greatest thing that can happen is that the angels greet you in your dreams and bring you over. So don't fear going to sleep, because it's a place of peace. It's a place for you to find the light and allow the light to embody you. Because if it is your time, no matter if your eyes are open or closed, it's your time. And that gave him great comfort into knowing that, he didn't have to keep his eyes open all the time, and that it was safe for him to like understand and really trust that he was going to be okay. And so when they cross over, when they describe seeing their either their mother, their father, a sibling, whomever it is that has importance into their life, who would be there to greet them, what they're seeing is, in a sense, like a hologram. It's a vibrational imagery of the physical vessel that they carried when they were here on this plane of existence. So it's really important to understand that when our loved one crosses over, they become a spirit. They return to spirit. It's like if you've ever seen an orb caught on film, or how I have been shown, if you close your eyes and you see a night sky filled with lights, it's like all the souls that are just kind of beautifully around us. There's just billions of them. You can't count. So when we're in that transition process, it's our loved ones who come forth, and they kind of take this like hologram form, or this kind of imagery, so that we connect, because our mind then can process who it is on the physical form. So even when I, as a medium, would connect with people's loved ones, if like I would say to a client, like if I just close my eyes, and they don't come as souls to me. They do and they don't. They don't come as souls in the form of like orbs of light that are surrounding a client. Because, if I said, oh my goodness, like look at that shiny orb behind you, it is just radiant. You're like, oh, that's my dad. We don't identify them by what their soul looks like in its true form. We identify our loved ones by the aesthetic or the exterior that we housed when we were here. And then when they cross over, they then return back into soul form. So when we are then in that process where they transition over, and from what I'm told, that it is just the most euphoric thing in the world, that at that split second where the soul core dissolves and then crosses over, that there is nothing but love, that there is no question. They don't worry about anything, because worry doesn't exist in that plane, because everything is pure knowledge and wisdom. So when someone, if they were sick here, they do not cross over sick. If someone was hurting here, they do not cross over hurting. If someone was angry or mean here, they don't cross over mean, because all of those things are behaviors that we have learned from this human plane. It wasn't their true essence. It wasn't who they were. So when they cross, there is a wisdom that is realigned with and reunited within our consciousness, our soul's consciousness that we have, that we're then connecting with. So upon crossing, it then is I want you to envision it like a classroom, a big building with classrooms, and there's many different levels of this classroom. And if we talk about the soul is an age that comes into a physical form. So we can have old souls and we can have young souls. So if somebody was a young soul, but they had an old body, and a young soul with a young body, then it would be then a discerning of what level they went to on their soul level, because then there's soul classrooms where they then will have a life review. And the life review is not judgment day. And I'm kind of moving the process along. I mean, we don't have time on the other side. We have it here. So timelessness exists on the other side, and time is what we're always praying more for, what we waste and what we are fearing. So it's kind of like a dichotomy of a time, but there is no time on the other side. So people often ask me, okay, well, if I'm crossing now and my loved one crosses in 20 years, are they not going to be there? 20 years on the other side is like a half a second. It's not what it is to us, where it feels like time. Sometimes if we're not living after someone crosses, it feels like a sentence. But when we cross, we then realize like, wow, I didn't know. And funny story about that line, my father that I was speaking of, when he was very practical, kind of, well, he wasn't kind of, he was Mr. Catholic. He was very Catholic, very much, you get a job, you stay in it, you don't leave, you don't check in with your happiness, sacrifice for the family. That's what you do. And so you can imagine that mentality with me doing this work was not always understood. And his last words before he crossed were, Colleen, get a job, get your head out of the clouds, and take care of those kids. When he crossed, his first message to me was, Colleen, I didn't know, keep going. And so I loved him unconditionally. And I didn't justify what I did and why I was doing it, because my dad was not my audience. My dad was set in his ways, and he had his opinions and his beliefs. I loved him for who he was, and I wasn't asking him or bartering with love, meaning I didn't believe he didn't love me less because I wasn't doing what he thought I should be doing. I loved him where he was at, and I didn't try to press my work, my beliefs, my theories, my feelings, my experiences on him. Not because I was ashamed of me or what I did, just because this is who he was, and I accepted him for that. But when he crossed over, this is what I knew, he would understand it 100%. And he's one of my biggest advocates on the other side. And that's what we often will find. When people here cross, they may be the person who is partnering with you and helping you along on this life, because when they went into that earth school and then they crossed over into soul school, they then realized how they lived very limited. They lived very tunnel vision. And how that they sacrificed, it was not for the family, but they sacrificed their own soul's path for a belief system that was not in alignment with their soul. So it's really quite interesting to look at. It's fascinating to me because it just is so powerful. And it's, I could spend another 30 years and still keep learning about the afterlife. And what I share is from my experiences in sessions, connecting people and teaching people how to connect for themselves. So when our loved ones cross over and then they go into the soul school, and then we have our life review. And the life review is just magnificent. And I can say from being in Catholic recovery, I was always afraid of that. Like I didn't know what line I would be in. I don't do this because that's not good. Don't do this because this is not good. Judgment is a human condition. It is not a soul condition, because what is good to someone else is bad to someone else. This work that I do, in some people's eyes, may not be in the light. For me, I show and know how much light I have shared with so many thousands of people. So that predetermination of what is good and what is not good, that's a personal, perception. But when we cross, our life review is a beautiful movie of how successful we have been on this earth walk. We are shown when we learned how to roll over, when we learned how to, hold a spoon, when we learned how to ride a bike, learn the alphabet, learn a language, all these little accomplishments that we have forgotten. We've taken for granted that that's just part of growing up. We have not given them any attention, but that has been a springboard, a building board for us to then believe in ourselves at this state and whatever age you are. It has been a building block for you to remember all the successes that you had, so that when opportunities arise or situations arise, that you can reflect back and say, wow, you're not be like, oh, okay, I remember I couldn't ride a bike one day, but it really is. We have been an infant in so many experiences that we have just not given any credit or paid any attention to. And that often is what brings us into self-doubt now, because we're only looking at the present situation and feeling like we don't have the tools. But what we're missing is that we are an infant in this new experience, and that we need to be nurturing to that infant. If there is a skill set that you are looking to learn, or something that you're looking to grow, or a business that you're looking to start, but you don't have the history showing you that you know how to do this specific task, you need to bring it back and say, you know what, there was 1,000 different things that I didn't know how to do once, and everybody has a first day. And we need to meet ourselves at that first day and allow ourselves permission to be the infant, because the infant got up and fell, got up and fell, and got up and fell. And look at us, we're now walking. So now it's about going into that, honoring that infant within and trusting it. And that's what we see when we view this life review. We do not have the emotion that we have here in attachment to things. So when we're doing the life review, and if there is a situation in which we were not in alignment with our true essence, we're not shown it to be judged, to feel guilty, to feel shame, because emotions are a human experience. Love is the only thing that is real on the other side. Love embodies everything. They don't feel shame. They don't feel the guilt. They don't feel. However, when they are witnessing something that created maybe an effect on you and your trajectory of your life, if we are in session, your loved one who maybe was an alcoholic, who drank your whole childhood and was abusive and this, and this, when they cross, they wake up. They wake up to actually recognizing how them not being awake in their own life and having this alcohol addiction actually affected X, Y, and Z in their life. So when they come through, what they're now going to do is, number one, an apology that comes through the afterlife is the purest apology you will ever receive in your life, because now they have witnessed your response, how it affected you, and want to be, I call them, if there was a whip created here on your heart creating a wound, they want to be a part of that EMT team on the other side. They want to help those spiritual sutures. They want to show up in your life to let you know that it was me who made this error, and that it is not to limit you into who you are or in your beliefs about yourself. It's just so powerful. I literally could talk all day about it. But we are coming to the close of this episode. I'm going to be continuing this series and taking us into the depths of the afterlife so that we can really feel an organic connection with our loved ones on the other side. So much healing can happen when someone crosses, and often people think, oh, I had so many things left unsaid, that, the thing is, when our loved ones come through, they want to help us, again, just like the angels, to get out of our way, to get onto our way. And we have a myriad of people on the other side. It's not just one person who we have designated as like, you're going to be my spirit guide. Their soul may not be fully in alignment with able to guide you. They may be a support spirit who's around you, but you may have another person who, is more in alignment to where you are in your life to step up and support you. So on that note, I'm going to tune out, and we're going to pick this up on the next episode of Ask Colleen. So I look forward to tuning in with you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning in and joining Colleen St.Michaels on this transformation journey. If you have any questions, insights, or topics that you'd like to engage or ask, please visit www.colleenstmichaels.com under the podcast page of Ask Colleen to submit your question. I look forward to connecting with you next time. Have a beautiful day.